This week on Outdoor Bound TV, we're off to the northwest angle of Minnesota with our resident muskie expert Corey Nazer of Naze Baits. Corey will be sharing with us some of his tips and suggestions on what type of equipment you need to get started in muskie fishing, what type of baits to have along, and generally where this fish can be found on a typical body of water. Then hang on, because it's an all-out battle on the water as we pursue this awesome fish.
Take a look at this muskie. Here we go. Got him. We have found the bluefish.
I have 2 bass on.
Such a thick fish. That was awesome. I love it.
Outdoor Bound TV is brought to you by Mission by Matthews and Vortex Optics.
Hi everyone, welcome to Outdoor Bound TV. I'm Kurt Walbeck. On this week's show, we get a chance to travel to probably one of my favorite destinations here in the Midwest for big muskies, Lake of the Woods. That's right, our buddy Corey Nazer from Naze Baits is here, and he's going to be giving us a little muskie fishing 101. Let's head to the northwest angle of Minnesota and meet up with Corey right now.
Hey everybody, Corey Nazer here with Naze Baits. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what do I need to get started in muskie fishing? And there's a lot of stuff that you need, but it's oftentimes intimidating for people, but it doesn't have to be, because you can break it down into some simple categories. You got your rod, your reel, your line, your leader, and baits. And if you learn a few simple things about each of these components, you can easily get started muskie fishing very soon. Oh, came up, nose right behind it. Still there? Yep. There we go. Oh, pretty hot on it, pretty hot on it. Oh, come on, stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there. Oh, she turned several times on that. We just got here, and that's, I don't know, second, third cast, raised one. So they've been slow up until this point, but now, woo! Now they might be turning on. All right, so that came off rock. All right, let's see if we can get it back up. Muskies relate to 3 different things. They're going to relate to weeds, they're going to relate to rocks, or they're going to relate to sand. Generally, they're looking for a place to hide and ambush bait. Now, muskies can eat anything, but generally they forage on walleye, sauger, whitefish, suckers, tullibees, and if you can find those fish, that bait, in transition areas, weed edges, rock humps, shelves, reefs, you're generally going to find muskie in that area. Find the bait fish, find the muskie. was a right-handed cast. Oh. I'd really remember it then. When you fish it and you know there's fish there and you can't call one, it just totally changes the level of confidence that I have now in this spot. Which means I'll never not come back to this spot. Well, we just decided, because it was calm enough, to switch to topwater. We got out of the wind calmed down, and I would say, where do you want it? Here. Okay. There you go. In the bag. Oh, that was almost. Whew, we got it.
Good job, man.
Switch to the tin head, he said, and it worked. Yeah, we had it hooked really well. Nice fish, nice fat fish. It's got scars on the back. Nice. Oh, we're floating by these rocks, but we're really not worried about the rocks. We're worried about all the rubble underneath. And we just commented that we saw locator go up to 3, and then went down to 8, and went up to 3. So we're casting over some tremendous rubble. This one hit ferociously and just tailed ants, and it was awesome. That was awesome. Oh, look at this. Whew. Cold front. It's cold. It's like 60-some degrees, but we switched to topwater because we were in an area that we thought this is too good. This is too calm, and lots of rubble down below. And we've been fishing the livid fish and brought a few fish up, but this just looked too good for topwater, or too good to not throw topwater. So beautiful fish, hit hard. We had it on for 50 yards. We had just switched to topwater, and this is awesome. The explosion was awesome on the tin head. It's just the way muskies are supposed to jump. $39. Okay.
Nice fish. Wow, I think it's got it.
All right, we are gonna get this beautiful fish back in the water. Such a thick fish. Oh, look at the size of that tail. So thick. For a 39-incher. Oh. I mean, I can't get my fingers around all the way. This is gonna be a really big fish. You know, when you're handling a fish and then you go to release it, let it try to stand up by itself. And this one's getting ready to go. She's got power here. If the fish starts rolling a little bit, it's not ready to go. If it can right itself and sit straight up, then the fish is probably likely ready to go. So this one's ready to go. She's kicking her tail back and forth. She's got strength. She's holding herself up. Body looks good, so we're gonna let her go back. That's awesome. That is the best. I've said it before, but when you're holding that tail, that's the best. You're just hanging out with that fish that you pursued for so long. You're hanging out with it in the water, and it goes back, and we're gonna catch it next year. Maybe later this week, who knows? All right, let's go get another one, right? Catching a muskie like that is like the 10-pointer stepping out just outside your shooting lane. You're thinking about getting ready, like what do I need to do? Do I move? Do I wait till he comes in? That's the same feeling, same exact feeling. And then you don't come down from that for a little while. You just sit and wait for your heart to come down after he walks away or after you shot it or whatever. It's adrenaline. It's a total adrenaline rush. Whew.
Outdoor Bound TV is brought to you by Mission Crossbows and HHA Sports.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Now before we left you for the break, our buddy Corey Nazer was here, and he was giving us a little bit of a musky fishing 101. But I love how excited he gets when he catches one of those fish. So let's head back out on the water with Corey and finish up a little of our musky fishing 101 and also see if we can put some more of these giant fish in the boat.
So let's talk about equipment first. One of the most important things to talk about is your rod. One of the most important things I think for me is that the rod is the appropriate length in front of the reel and behind the reel. I think it's very important to have a long butt handle on your rod because you're casting heavier baits, so this helps you with leverage. This helps you cast baits farther, but it also doesn't fatigue you. You're going to be able to cast baits longer and stay on the water longer if you have that leverage that a longer handled rod provides. You're going to have to find your personal preference, but a 8-foot rod or 7/6 is a good place to start for a beginning musky angler, but also for casting any baits. That length rod will cast any bait on the market. The next thing you need to think about is your reel. Typically a musky fisherman is going to use a bait casting reel. Bait casting reel also intimidates some anglers when they first start using them. They've heard a lot of bad stories about birds' nests and backlashes. That's something that beginning musky anglers don't need to be intimidated with. Most people can learn how to effectively use a bait caster in one day. When you get a reel, you're going to have help at your local tackle shop setting it up to make sure your spool tension is right. They'll probably put your line on for you. There's just a couple things that they need to point out to make sure that your first cast you're ready to go when you cast that first bait out. What I like to look for is something that has a large handle, helps me reel in heavier baits a little easier, and something that has a lot of metal components in it, because that's going to last a long time. And a bait casting reel is something that you probably want serviced or cleaned yearly to keep it clean and running smoothly. There. Good fish. Ooh, good fish. Get the net. Not hooked real well, Jeffy. Oh. We're throwing a brand new prototype livid fish, the rattle livid fish. It's a new bait. It's been bringing up a lot of fish, but we haven't connected on any, but that changed right now. We haven't measured this girl, still in the bag. We got the bait out, and I am still trying to come down from the excitement of this fish. This could be a personal best, but I'm beside myself. I can't calm down. But we're gonna measure it and take a few photos and get it back in the water. I am pumped, so pumped right now. Oh, look at the size of this fish. Look at this fish. Oh, huge. Like the woods muskie on a livid fish. Oh, best feeling. Let's get a measurement. This is the best feeling. Oh, look at the size of that fish. Look at this fish. fish. 51.5 inch. We're releasing this absolute giant back to the bay it came out of. So that I think this fish is just about ready to go. She's starting to flex her tail. We always check to make sure that the fish can right itself. You want to be able to let go of that tail, and if the fish does any kind of rolling where you can maybe see the white belly, she's not ready. Take time to make sure the fish are ready to go. You've fished all week or all year for this moment. Don't rush this moment. And I think she's ready to go. We've spent quite a bit of time with her now to make sure she was good, because the last thing you want to do is see that fish roll over out there. You want to make sure she's ready boat side, and I think she is. So we're going to let her go and see if she swims off strong, and I think she will. The next thing you'll have to consider is musky line. Typically it's 80 to 100 pound test. Most of them come in a braid. You'll have to talk to your local tackle shop and see what they recommend. Next thing would be a good musky leader. There's several different varieties. There's monofilament, there's wire, and there's hard straight wire leaders. Generally they run between 100 and 200 pound test. Ball bearing swivels and large terminal tackle clips are a necessity for holding on to those big fish. Next big decision, baits. What are you going to throw for baits when you got that brand new setup? There's several different kind of baits that all musky fishermen probably have in their tackle box. That would be a bucktail, crankbait, probably a jerkbait. Probably have some plastics, rubber sometimes they're called, and then they definitely have topwater baits as well. Bucktails are an inline spinner style bait that generally have 1 or 2 blades on them. They're usually have tinsel or hair on the back and are armed with a couple treble hooks. They are used for searching quickly, fishing an area, or in shallow conditions you want to keep a bait up and fishing fast. Next is a jerk bait. That's a generally straight bait that you are creating all of the action for. In the water alone, it does nothing. You need to maneuver it to create all of its lifelike action. Next is a crankbait. That's a bait that is designed to have a natural action when you're doing a straight retrieve. They generally get a little bit deeper in the water, sometimes quite a bit deeper in the water. Rubber or plastics, as it's sometimes called, are usually larger baits. They're made out of that same material as your rubber bass or pike baits or the twister tail baits. These are generally baits that will sink, and you need to create the action by giving it a good hard pull. And finally, topwater baits. Topwater baits are a bait that is designed to be on the top of the water. It generally has a bib in the front, a prop in the back, something to create a violent disruption on the water as you're bringing it back to the boat. So we found the bait fish, we found where we want to fish. Now we've got to deploy these tactics. You're going to throw a bait out there. You're probably going to start with a search bait. Maybe it's a bucktail, maybe it's a slow retrieve crankbait. But once you find those fish, then it's time to start experimenting. Now you're throwing a topwater out. You're looking for an active fish, number one, and then something that it's going to bite on. Muskies will hit any kind of bait at any time. They're very unpredictable fish, and that's what makes them so much fun. So get out and experiment, because when that fish hits, that'll be your new favorite bait, guaranteed. Oh, right there, got it. Got it.
That was pretty cool.
Oh,
huh?
that was really cool.
Silver Surfer.
The Silver Surfer. You renamed it today.
All right, you're, I'll let you in here.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. All right. Take a look at this lake in the woods, Northwest Angle, Minnesota Muskie. Incredible day today. It's a beautiful day here in the Northwest Angle. It's early August, and we've been doing some R&D with some of our Nays baits, and we had one of the livid fish, a traditional livid fish pattern that we did some changes to. We actually put a Kalin's twister tail on the back of it, and we've been trying that today, and I tell you what, it paid dividends. Look at this beautiful fish. Now, we've been seeing a few fish today, but they really haven't been cooperating. They've been pretty lethargic, but I tell you what, she wasn't. She just T-boned that livid fish. It never gets old catching these beautiful muskies here on the Northwest Angle of Minnesota.
Muskie fishing is absolutely my passion. So with a little bit of investment in money and a little bit of investment in time on the water, you might find that you really, really like it as well.
Outdoor Bound TV is brought to you by Acme Tackle and Mountain Dew.
What a beautiful fish. Incredible. Hey everyone, we hope that you'll join us again here next week when we'll bring you more great hunting and fishing action from around the US, around Canada, and around the world, right here on Outdoor Bound TV. What a fish.
Outdoor Bound TV is brought to you by Markham Technologies and Rapala.
How am I doing? Are you getting pictures? Oh, Black, you want to do this?
Your knees get weak, you drool a little bit, your hands are shaking, you get a little dizzy, you gotta sit down for a minute.
She cut that all the way from the fingernail right down to the pad of the finger.
And I forgot what I was going to say after that.
How long have you been a nurse?
Make sure you get the whole fish in.
At least I didn't have to pull a great big jumbo hook out of your face or nothing.
Without the curse word?
Mm-hmm.